Good evening. It has been, and welcome back to our third episode. Um, I am so excited for the next one, only because the second I hit this, I need to edit in the TikTok version of 90210 where it's like, my granny calls she said drive you. But yeah, on a much more serious note, the topic of today's episode is, what does your work mean to you? Not to your mom, not to your dad, not to your brother, sister, friend, no one else. What does your work mean to you? Feel free to answer the question. Thank you. Very useful answer. Great answer. Amazing. Couldn't have said it better myself. Uh, and if you said anything other than everything, what are you doing? You know, um, you need to love your work. You need to cherish your work. The fact that you made it, the fact that it was created in here and you were able to actualize it and make it a tangible thing. Hats off, you know. And this applies for everything. I'm not just specifically talking about art. Obviously, the whole point of this series is art based, but I'm talking about you were able to collect data and visualize it, put it into an Excel, have some graphs going. You were able to write that essay. You know, you were able to make that painting. You were able to um, make that song. You were able to do all these things. And the fact that you were able to do these things, that's amazing. You have the ability to create. And I feel like a lot of times people tend to overlook that and they fail to realize what they have in their hands. I really got to start charging this computer. Uh, Screen went dark again, but it's okay. We power through. Happened a lot earlier this time. But, it's so important that you are able to fully do something. Now, one of the problems that I think everyone is going to run into if they care about their work, which you always should, um, anything with your name attached to it should be the best to your ability. You know, if if you hand someone this dinner you cooked and it is the worst thing, most inedible piece of schlop that anyone has ever consumed, why do you want to say, hey, yeah, my name's Aryan and I made that dish? No, no. You want to be, you want your name attached to your best work. Now, if that schlop, that horrible tasting dish is your best effort, by all means, stand by it proudly. If you're just learning how to cook and that was your first attempt, that's your first attempt. A lot of people are too scared to even do the first attempt. Like I talked about in my previous video, people are afraid of taking the first step. So you should be proud of your work. So many others have failed to even get to that starting point. And realistically, the work you're putting out is way beyond that, you know? So it is so important to be proud of what you do. This kind of goes back to the idea of not doubting yourself, believing in yourself. And if you're proud of your work, you're believing in yourself. And I think I really just wanted to dive deeper into that, where it's like, I need to be self aware of my work. I have to be able to identify if it is not good. I can't love it blindly, but I also have to really appreciate that I tried, that I executed, that I did something. I think a lot of people tend to beat themselves up, and I'm not excluding myself. I actually was doing this minutes ago while recording one of my new songs. Um, I was like, man, I'm really not getting this sound right. Why doesn't it sound like X artist who has been doing this genre for at least 5 years that I know of? 5 years now. And then it hit me like a brick, just I am doing this in 1 week, trying to imitate or trying to, uh, build my sound around someone who's developed their skills for more than 5 years. I think that is insane. The fact that I was beating myself up, going, why aren't you as good as Eminem at rapping? Eminem is a solid lyricist. Even if you think that his music is corny or whatever, the facts do not lie. His wordplay, his skill over words, and him being a MC are very strong, almost unmatched. He is just he has forged and refined his skill set to the point where, technically speaking, it goes over most people's heads how well put together some of these lines and bars are. And I'm sitting over here and I'm like, why isn't my stuff sounding as good? Eminem has been making music longer than I have been alive. There is a reason he is that good. So I think you really need to get yourself out of that trap. Another trap, which kind of falls in a very similar vein, is perfection. Nothing is going to be perfect. If it was perfect, it'd be boring. Perfect is sterile. Um, Perfect is what happens when it's lifeless. You know, you are the version of you right now because of all the decisions you've made, not just the perfect decisions you've made. You're a version of you who made mistakes, who didn't realize that person was hitting on them, who messed up when they were talking to their friend, who failed that test. That is you. And if I were to take all of that away, that's not you anymore, let alone a person. A person, although not defined by their mistakes, is defined by their actions. They're defined by their successes and failures and how they react to each one. It's like such a complex thing. And for you to want to basically recreate that and just channel that into one small second, your entire being into a 3-minute song, it's impossible. It's not gonna be perfect. You have to accept that, because until you don't accept that, you're gonna be stuck. It's like a hamster wheel. You're just gonna stuck in the same little circle, no idea what's going on. You know, Once you realize that perfectionism kills art and kills any sort of motivation, you're gonna stop thinking about it. There is obviously refinement, right? There is the difference between me, you know, half-assedly singing or rapping a verse to a song and being like, yeah, that's okay. Versus me being like, oh man, you can hear me say this one syllable off in this 3-minute song where every other piece of that take is perfect in my eyes. I am not going to go back and fix that syllable. I am not going to go back and edit out every tiny breath I make. I breathe. I'm a human. I'm not going to edit out that one small section where my vocals peak a little too much. those things bring life to my art. You know, it's not necessarily an aesthetic thing. It's just, I think that is what is me, you know? I, as you can tell from my closet, not the most organized person. Um, but that should translate into my music. Every time you listen to a song, you're getting a small piece of me, you know? Maybe that day I was feeling very sad, so I made Waiting at the Party, you know? And it's like, you really have to aim to be okay with yourself. I think perfectionism, there's probably a very like psychological analysis of it and all that, but I think in my eyes, perfectionism reflects uncertainty in oneself, but also uh, general discomfort or distaste with accepting oneself. You know, I don't like who I am, therefore, this thing that I made is not perfect. You know, um, not a good way to treat your art that or your work, anything. That is your child, your brainchild. You put energy and time into that. And to just cast it away is just like, it's heartbreaking. So, yeah, um, this is longer, but also felt quicker. I don't know. These videos, when recording, are just a blur to me. But, moral of the story, avoid perfectionism, be yourself, love yourself, and love the work you do. Really take time and appreciate what you do. You know, even if it's the smallest task, you did that. And no one else can do it the way you do it. And there's a beauty in that. And I really urge everyone to look at that. All right. Peace.